So within a map layout, which would be, you can think about it as like this entire piece of paper here, there's something that's called the map frame, which is the part here within this blue box here. So the map frame is a map that is placed in the map layout. The layout includes a lot of other elements, such as the title of the map, a locator map, the legend, the scale bar, the north arrow. All those sorts of things are other layout elements that go into the map layout in addition to the map frame. So the map frame is going to scale, the extent of the map frame, it's independent of the map itself that you put into the frame. I think that's the best way to think about it. So the map frame extent is set by activating it within the layer. If you want to zoom in and out, once you put your map frame into your layout, you can do that, but first you have to activate the map. You can also go into the map frame properties, and you can have a fixed center, you can have a fixed extent, all those different sorts of things you can set if you want to. The scale bar is basically something that's divided into sections, so that this would represent from here to here would represent 2 miles, or from here to here would represent 1 mile, or this yellow part from here to here would represent half of a mile. Typically, the scale bar has a regular division over here, and then it has a subdivision on this side here in case you have to measure something very particularly, where they've taken that typical half a mile division and then broken it down into 1, 2, 3, 4 more pieces. So each one of those would be 1/8 of a mile. It always should report on the division units here. And these scale bars, they can also change on interactive maps. Of course, if you put it on a paper map, it'll always be the same. But on an interactive computer map, it can change as you zoom in and out. So, so you can either keep the bar at a constant and change the size and the divisions. You can eliminate the whole divisions, and you can adjust the width of the bars as well. So you have a lot of decisions to make about how you want your scale bar to look as you zoom in and out of an interactive map on a computer screen. You can also add text to a map layout. And if you're labeling things, that should be done in the map display itself. But once you get to the layout, you might want to just put something on there that gives the reader some more information that's very specific to the layout. And here you want to use the graphic text. So this is just like putting a graphic on top of that, graphic text on top of that piece of paper, which is the map layout. And you can put that along straight text lines or curved text lines or within shapes, all sorts of different things. But a couple of things to keep in mind is that you can also have dynamic labels that is coming from the information on the map display. And they may be set as the properties of the labels. You can also have something called annotation. And annotation, I kind of think of it like a layer of labels that started out by labeling something, let's say cities, and then you changed it into a layer, you saved it as a new layer that only includes the annotation or the labels that were associated with the original cities. The nice thing about annotations is that you can customize them so they appear exactly where you want to on the map. The reference scale of the map, you can set so that everything looks good at a certain particular scale, but you can also, with a reference scale, you can decide whether things get larger as you zoom in and out, or whether things stay the same size. So in this example here, if things stay the same size as you zoom in, it's going to look like your map is much less sparsely labeled than it was in the original map. So this would be zooming in with no reference scale set. But if you do set a reference scale, then as you zoom into an area, it's going to look like you're just taking a magnifying glass to this first map in A here, and you're putting the magnifying glass over it. Everything is going to get bigger on it, including the size of the symbols and the size of the labels that you include there. So the reference scale can be quite useful for that. So when you're in the layout view, you can look at the context pane for the layout view, and that's going to show you all of the different elements in your layout. So in this case here, you have all of these different layers here, which are grouped together as hazards, and it includes everything in your hazards map, in your hazards map frame. But you might have another map frame that shows where these hazards are within the greater United States, and that might be a USA map frame. So this would be an indication you actually have 2 different map frames in your layer. This is all the stuff on the detail map that's showing where the volcanoes are, and this is just showing the states of the United States and where the Pacific Northwest is. You can select these elements to change their properties, and these properties are edited in the ribbon, or you can also edit them on the formatting pane. The legend is inserted for the active frame. So if you clicked on the frame showing the volcanoes, you would get a legend that includes everything in that map in your layout. You can create these, and once you create it, then you can edit them. You can change things such as the name of these this grouping here. If it was count.shp, you can change that to counties or similar things. But you can do all kind of that fine editing once you get your legend into the layout.